Hi, everyone. My name is Joy. I'll be facilitating today's session. A little bit about me. I graduated from the University of Toledo back in May of 2020 with a degree in electrical engineering before I went and started my career with OC in the Maintenance Manufacturing Leadership Program, which is one of the programs we'll be talking about today. So Owens Corning at a glance. For those of you who do not know, we are a building materials manufacturer, and we have three main divisions. It'd be insulation, roofing, and composites. We are a Fortune 500 company, and we've been ranked in that list for 67 years in a row. We have about 19,000 employees, and we are global in scope, human in scale, and we currently operate in 33 different countries. So we have a lot of different early career development programs offered at Owens Corning, but today we're going to be focused on our operations leadership programs, which are our engineering focused ones. Starting off, we have our manufacturing leadership program. So this program is more technical or process operations based. You do rotations in your technical process, in production supervisor. You will touch in maintenance to get more rounded experience with the plant, but the end results goal of this would to be a career in a process engineer, ops leader, tech leader, etc. So to be more maintenance focused, we have our maintenance manufacturing leadership program, which is the program I am in. And your technical rotations in there would be reliability and capital project management. Well, you will also get your supervisor and operations experience as well. Coming out of that, you would be more focused in the maintenance leader, reliability engineering goal or role. The last program we have is our furnace development program. This is a more technical role since the first year you will spend in our research and technology center in Granville, Ohio, before you move on to be in plant rotations with furnace engineers in production. And typical roles out of that are furnace engineers or batch engineers. So moving on to a Q&A, I will have each of the panelists introduce themselves, and I have a couple structured pre-selected questions for each of them, and then we can move on into an open question session. Rebecca, would you like to start off?
I can start off. My name's Rebecca Aloy. I graduated from Penn State University in May of 2020 with a degree in chemical engineering and a minor in environmental engineering. I started my career with OC in the summer of 2019. I did an internship in the manufacturing, just as a manufacturing engineering intern. And then I joined the company for full time in the operations leadership program last August. And I'm now, I believe, 14 months into the program. I'm still doing the technical rotation as line manufacturing engineers, and I'm located at the Waxahachie, Texas plant. And it's an insulation plant.
I'm Riley Hobson. I graduated from Missouri S&T in December 2020 with my degree in ceramic engineering. I'm currently at the composites plant in Aiken, South Carolina. I started here in January, and so I'm a MLP, so I'm still currently in my technical rotation.
All right. My name is Peter Vaughn. I also graduated from the Missouri University Science and Technology back in 2020. So I started at Owens Corning in September of 2020. I'm in the maintenance manufacturing leadership program as well. So I'm about 14 months in. So right now I am working in the maintenance supervisor role. I've been doing that for a little while now. I work in the batch utilities area, which we can get into later if anybody has questions about that. But yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. I'll start off with these questions. Riley, what made you decide to join a manufacturing or engineering development program?
What really interested me about this program is the rotational aspect. So coming out of college, I wasn't completely sure based on my previous experience if I wanted to do more of the technical side or more of the operations people leading side. So I really was intrigued in the fact that I would get the opportunity to pursue both before kind of finally deciding which route I thought suited me best. So that aspect, and then the part of all of the support that you get within that. So knowing I'd be in the plant, have a coach within that plant leading me through having a project, and then after that being able to go through the operation side, which I don't have previous experience in, but I'm really looking forward to. So basically just the flexibility that the program provides in me trying to figure out what would best suit me long term in my career, and then just the support with feeling like you're actually still benefiting the plant by being in a program, but and then also having the flexibility to explore outside of what your role would typically have in it.
Peter, what is a typical day like for an engineering professional in a manufacturing plant?
Oh, that's a good question. I think it depends really the area that you're focused in. I can't speak too much about the operations side. Haven't worked a ton on that side of things. I know some of the other panelists can speak a little bit more about that side. But from maintenance side of things, depending on where you are at in your rotation, but as a maintenance supervisor, a lot of my day to day is, in the morning we like to have a toolbox talk. We talk about safety items for the day. Is there anything outstanding? Anything major that's came up, anything that we need to speak about. And then from there, it's about assigning work for the day. We like to make sure all the guys have plenty of work for the day, anything to keep them preoccupied and stay on task with a lot of things we have up and coming, try to keep ahead of our planned work, as well as even kind of sometimes reacting to anything that may have popped up overnight and anything that's become critical all of the sudden. And then from there, it's kind of a matter of keeping up on the things that I need to keep up on, attending meetings about upcoming projects, any sort of process improvements that we want to go after, any sort of breakdown analysis events, things like that. And then by the end of the day, it's kind of a wrap up of keeping track of hours and time charged for the day, what my guys have been working on, following up with them and seeing what their status is on their jobs that they've been working on. And then usually I try to spend the rest of the day kind of following up on anything else that I personally have to work on or within the program, meeting with my coaches or mentors and talking with them and seeing how I'm doing and anything that I can improve on.
Thanks, Peter. Riley or Rebecca, would you like to add to that, coming from more of like the technical manufacturing leadership program side?
Yeah, I can add. So for me, when you're in your technical line rotation, so in insulation specifically, they have your technical rotation is a line manufacturing engineer. So for that 6 months, you're in charge of one of the manufacturing lines. So in Waxahachie, we have 3 lines. I started my technical rotation on B2. So for those 6 months, it was my line. I was in charge of having a daily audit every morning, reviewing the previous night's quality data, the previous night's kind of shift reports, if there was any issues that you had to take care of in the morning. And then ultimately from your audit that day of talking to operators and any sort of problems that are occurring, and then you spend time working on those, and then if everything's good, then that's where I would transition to my longer term action items for process stability within looking at data, creating control charts, root cause analysis of different things that are happening, and then there's also like meetings thrown in there around the day. But that's pretty much a normal day for a line manufacturing engineer.
I'm going to ask another question of you, Rebecca. What do you enjoy most about working in manufacturing?
I would say the people, and for me, it's the people on the floor, and then like at the plant, like that you get to work with the teams. Like, yeah, there are going to be hard days, and there are going to be not great days that you don't necessarily always want to come into the plant. But for me, being able to talk to the operators and just have that great relationship with them is why I like being in manufacturing. And then also, I really love seeing the process of all the raw materials come in and then the product you're making, and then going to see a customer and seeing how they use your product to make a different product, and then seeing it in Home Depot because I get to make insulation. It's really awesome to know where it comes from, and I just love being that kind of engineer.
Thanks, Rebecca. Peter, Riley, I would love to hear from you as well about what you enjoy most about working in manufacturing.
Yeah, so a lot of what she said, working with the people on the floor, and then also I just enjoy how every day is different. It's not like I'm coming in here every day, sitting at my desk and doing the same task. So it's nice to have challenge, always have a new problem, something that you can tackle, and so you always feel like you're always learning something every day. Even the people that have been here for 20 years, every once in a while it's like, oh, I didn't realize that was something that could have happened, or that's a great solution. So it's nice being able to have a change of pace every day and every week or day is different.
Yeah, I'll kind of piggyback off that. They kind of touched a lot on everything, but I would say that the best part about working in manufacturing, especially within maintenance, is that I agree with Riley, is that no day is like the next, or no day is like the previous day. Every day is a different kind of challenge. It really kind of boils down to the roots of engineering, where you're doing a lot of problem solving. It's really nice to be able to see the impacts of your work immediately, day in and day out. Every day, sometimes you come into a problem and you spend that day solving that problem. And then if you do a good job, hopefully you never hear back from that problem ever again. And then that means you did a pretty good job solving that problem. But I would say that's a good part of it. And then, yeah, I agree. Just the people that you get to work with, speaking with the operators and maintenance technicians, and speaking with people who have been here for a long time, longer than I've been alive, or sometimes people who are just new, just getting to hear about their experiences and their time here, and seeing the way things were and seeing the way things have improved now, and kind of getting to talk to them and work with them is a real privilege.
Peter, how have your leaders, mentors, peers, your development coach, how have they helped you navigate your career at Owens Corning?
Yeah, so I was the same way as Riley. I think when when I was finishing up college, I kind of knew what I wanted to do for the most part, but I didn't really know truly what I wanted to do, and that's why I kind of delved into this development program. It's a really good opportunity to try working in a lot of different areas and kind of try your hand at a lot of different things to kind of give you that idea about what you want to do. I think the best part about the program is that you are paired up with someone who's very experienced and has experience in the field and through different careers, and you can kind of talk with them about their experiences. So working with my coach and my mentors and everything, kind of getting to gauge a better idea about where I want to go within the company has been tremendous help. As well as I think the best part about it is that even when sometimes a problem can feel really daunting, you're never really alone in this program. There's always someone there who's knows about this kind of stuff or has seen a similar situation before. They can give you really good guidance, and you're never really left to hang out to dry. There's a lot of people here that want to see you succeed. So it's cool to get to work with people who have a lot of good experience and learn from that, and then you don't feel like you're just jumping off the deep end into something that you're not ready for. So it's a cool experience.
Thank you, Peter. Rebecca, what opportunities for growth are there within your specific role or in the company?
Yeah, the one thing that I really like about OC, starting from when I interned and then when I accepted the full-time position, is I found that kind of depending what you want to do, it's either like once you figure it out, either you want to go into operations or you want to go into more of the technical side. Like if you just ask for it from your coach, from your when you're working with like the steering committee within the early career OLP program, I know if you ask for it and you put it out there and say that you want to do something, they will try their hardest to get it. So it's either, I know for me within the plant, for like after my role, a lot of people either go to be a line manufacturing engineer at another plant, or they can go to be a technical leader at a smaller plant that doesn't have as many engineers. Or if you wanted to go do something in like if you wanted to work to be in S&T at our research facility and be like a product leader for installation, they can set you up for that role. And that's what I really liked about OC, is that as long as you just kind of ask for it, they'll try their best to get you there.
Riley, I know you're in the same program as well, but if you have anything to add, or Peter being a maintenance MLP, I'd like to hear your input as well.
I think with how the program is structured, you do have set like objectives and goals that you're given, but there's always a lot of flexibility. It'll be more like, here's a problem, what do you think you can do to solve it? So you get a lot of growth to just learning the process yourself, figuring out a way to solve it yourself. They're not like, this is broken, you need to do this, and then you just complete the task. So it gives you a lot of self-growth with problem solving and really coming to the root cause yourself. And then also just like communication. Each plant, there's a lot of operators, you have rotating shifts, so getting to know each of them and growing your communication skills and leadership skills in general, knowing how to work to get things done, knowing how to work with different types of people, and a lot of growth that way.
Yeah, I'd agree. I'd say there's a lot of personal growth and development within these programs. I think that the leadership roles that you're given and afforded in this program they're very real. You really do get to see a real impact day to day. You work with a lot of different people, and a lot of people look up to you for guidance and leadership as well. So it's a good it's a good opportunity from a personal, leadership skills development standpoint. There's a lot of things that'll boil down to your decision, and you're allowed to ask for help from others and look for guidance and speaking with your operators and your mechanics. Um, you'll find that right solution, but at the end of the day, it really does boil down to you and you making that game time decision. So it's a good opportunity there. And then yeah, as for career growth, career development, at least in the maintenance side of things, from the maintenance development program, to your biggest avenues are you go to a maintenance supervisor, kind of like where I'm at right now. You continue running an area or a department within maintenance, maintaining area and the equipment involved in it, or you can go more to the reliability side. You can be a reliability engineer, which there more you look at broad scope, asset protection, equipment reliability, or even from there you can go up to a maintenance leader. Sometimes if you're going to that right outside of the program, it probably would be at a smaller plant with a little bit less pressure behind it, but you could do maintenance leader as well. And then the next step for maintenance leader would be a plant leader if you get there eventually.
Thank you guys. One last of the pre-selected questions. I'm going to start with Riley, but ask them to all of you guys. What advice would you give to someone who wants to join OC and start a development program or start their career in a development program?
I would say definitely start going to the OC website, look into each of the different businesses, locations, our different, we have some stuff about our culture, inclusion, diversity, all of that on our OC website that you can look into, get kind of an inside peek of what our plant is like culturally and stuff like that. And then also just look at the job postings, and there's usually like contact, feel free to reach out to someone within the company, ask questions. Everyone's always willing to answer your questions or find someone that can if they don't have the answer. That's main tips I have.
Yeah, I can kind of piggyback off that as well. Since I know Riley and I both recruited at Missouri S&T not long ago, I would say if Owens Corning is at your career fair, that's an excellent first step as well. That's actually how I found Owens Corning. I didn't intern with Owens Corning beforehand, but one of the last career fairs that I went to, I was fortunate enough to just stop by their booth and talk to the recruiters and get to know them and find more about the development program. And from there, it was kind of a straight line path to the development program from there. But yeah, that's kind of one of the biggest ones there. But then, yeah, like I said, look at the opportunities online. You'll hear it all over the place, but apply online. Obviously, there's postings there for a reason. They're open opportunities, and just kind of read through those and figure out which one piques your interest the most. And if you have any questions, then yeah, reach out to the people that are available, and they can answer a lot more questions for you.
Yeah, I would second what Peter said about talking to Owens Corning at the career fair if they've come. But then the other thing, just like as a general like development program advice, is going into a development program that's rotational, where you're spending different timeframes and different roles. Use the short time frame to figure out exactly what your objectives are for that, so you can get the best out of that 6 months, out of that 1 year, and then know what you're working towards, so that you're not wasting your time in any of the rotations. And also to not be afraid to not know something in the beginning, because regardless of the role that you're in out of college, you're not going to know how to make insulation shingles or any sort of product in composites. So we're not we're not taught how to do that in college. And so just going in there and knowing that you're not going to know everything, and just being open to learn and talk to people and do that is super beneficial.
Yeah, I'll hop on that one real quick too. Yeah, it's extremely beneficial to be willing to learn. That's one of the first things I heard coming in here, and one of the first things I was praised about from some of my guys is that is being open-minded, realizing that you don't learn everything in college, and you'll quickly find that out, that you learn a lot on the job as you go. But it's good to have that foundation of learning and being open-minded and listening to other people's opinions and ideas, because a lot of these people here have really good ideas. So being able to do that and learn from others and take that and kind of use that to build your ideas and in the way you want to steer your areas, it's extremely beneficial.
Thank you guys. So that was the end of my pre-selected questions. So everyone joining, feel free to use this Q&A feature they talked about, and we can go ahead and start answering some of your questions, or you can raise your hand and live, and we can call on you to ask them live. First one I see here, this question is for every panelist. What's the greatest challenge you faced in your role, and how did you overcome it? And this is from Paul East.
Alrighty. So from the maintenance side of things, your biggest challenges are your breakdowns, right? So when stuff breaks, you're the first person to get the call to figure out, hey, what happened? B, what are we going to do about it? And C, hey, how long is it going to take? But then one of the first major challenges I faced was with at Waxahachie at the plant here in Texas. We're one of the last insulation plants that still run an asphalt-backed material. So to do so, we have an asphalt storage tank that we keep on site. 50,000 gallon asphalt storage tank that we use to supply our production lines. At one point, we have an asphalt burner. Essentially, it's just a large natural gas burner that's used as a heat trace to keep the tank liquid. Earlier this summer, we had a failure with the inlet nozzle going into the tank. It completely burned itself apart. It destroyed itself. It was toast, right? So I would say that was my biggest challenge so far was identifying what happened, and then going through the steps of the next couple months of figuring out, what the necessary repairs were, and then how to coordinate all the contractors and repair teams and cleaning and all that to be able to restore the tank back to where it is. There's still follow-up items I have to this day with it, even though it broke back in June. So it's an ongoing project, but I would say that was the biggest challenge I had so far. But yeah, the way you overcome a situation like that, because I guarantee they didn't teach me how to fix that back in school. But the biggest thing I learned from that was to lean on others there. Realize that, like I said, you're not alone in this. So even outside of insulation or outside of the plant, reached out to other Owens Corning employees, other engineers, other people who have experienced this before. My coaches, my mentors reached out, kind of collaborated as an effort to get the help that I needed, as well as allowing me the ability to lead the project as a whole. People were out there to help, and people were there to provide information and resources and context, but they weren't going to do it for me. And it was rough for the time being, but at the end, after everything was said and done, I'm really glad that I had that opportunity, because that's not something that you get to go through every day.
For me, one of the biggest challenges was, first part of my project was to improve startup. So every time the line comes down, we have to start up, and we were experiencing frequent failed startups, which just extend the downtime. So in order to do this, I created this checklist of things that they have to visually inspect in order to make sure that we come up on the first attempt. So this has been within my first 3 months probably that I created this checklist and put it out for the operators to complete every downtime. So I struggled getting them to actually complete the checklist at the beginning. So I realized that it was important for me, one, to make sure that to train it. So I had to train it out. And then I had to make sure that they knew I understood the process, because for me, they just thought, oh, this is just some new person brought me more work to do and doesn't really even know what's going on. So I had to sit with them, walk through it, show them why each step is important, show them how it can help. Through the project, I had a whole poster board showing losses. So presenting them what happens when we have multiple failed startups, and then presenting them data showing when they have completed this, how the likelihood of a successful startup increases. So making sure that they understand what you're asking them to do and that it is beneficial to them. And then also big part of that to keep it sustainable is I eventually got them to do it. And then after a month or two, it just kind of fell off. So a big part of that was the accountability aspect. So I had to come up with a new way to make sure that shift leaders were able to make sure that I was getting done, because I'm not always here 24/7. So coming up with a way to keep them accountable. So having something that they turn into the shift leader, or something online that the shift leaders can then go and check to make sure it was completed. So far, the sustainability piece of it has been the hardest, in making sure that even once I've completed this project, that it continues to get done, or else it'll just be a project for someone again in 2 years. It's been my biggest challenge.
Yeah, that's definitely a common theme of how to keep your project sustainable. But for me, the greatest challenge I faced was probably this summer, we had a very large quality issue with one of our biggest products in Waxahachie, flexible duct media, which is FDM. We're the only plant that makes it in Owens Corning, makes the bisected product. And we had severe quality issues where at one point we couldn't even make it to pass the manufacturing spec. So we were really struggling. And it stemmed from there's such a pressure of us to produce it because we're the only plant that made it. But then it also stemmed from that storm that came through Texas in February, that we lost power. I don't know, the plant had shut down for 10 days. So we lost all that production time. And then we also, so our warehouse was basically cleared out. So ever since we came up from February, we're finally almost back up to a stable time where we're not missing orders all the time because everything that's being produced is going out the door. I would say in combination of the quality issue and that, it was just there was a lot of pressure on the technical team to do their job well, and to make product that goes out the door correct and to the customer satisfaction. I would say that that's been the biggest challenge this year, and that's kind of the storm was almost a once-off occurrence, so that's definitely not going to happen every year. But I definitely learned a lot from it. I hope it doesn't happen every year. If it happens again next year, I think I'm gonna move back to Pennsylvania. But no, I couldn't do the winters back up there. But yeah.
All right, I got a question over in the chat from Takitsha. I hope that I pronounced that right. And maybe Taj, you can help with this as well. Says, hi, it's great to learn about the work you do and so much more. What are some qualities that you look for in an applicant? Smiley face.
Yes, Joy. Definitely the qualities that we look for in the applicants is whether they are, adaptable, flexible, eager to learn. Definitely you would be meeting our required qualifications, but along with that, what you bring to the table is very important for us. We encourage our employees, to take the responsibilities and to come forward, to take on the new roles, new challenges. So we encourage our, candidates to have that, that vibe where you think like, you have something, you're encouraged to learn, you're open to learn, and you are willing to do what it takes to be at Owens Corning and to get those promotions throughout your career here. Anybody can feel free to add. Like, I know, Rebecca, you joined through internship program. Anything you want to add?
Yeah, I know for me, a lot of the even when I recruit for Penn State and then also how I was recruited from them, something that we look for a lot is leadership and your ability to put yourself out there in situations and so that we know that you're capable of it, because in a manufacturing environment, it's a lot different. You're not at a desk all the time. You're on the floor with operators that are older than you. You're a lot of the times the youngest person in the room, especially on the floor. And they have a lot more experience than you. So just being like personable, that you want to be able to talk to people, create relationships, and then also have that leadership experience that that you have in school. It doesn't have to be like president or something. It can just be something an experience that shows that you're capable of your leadership qualities, that we look for.
Okay, next question. What is something unique about the programs at Owens Corning that you found valuable in your early career?
I would say for me, the projects and the responsibility that I've been given is quite high compared to other, like my friends that graduated and went into not even development programs, but just went into roles. I know for me, like Owens Corning, they put a lot on you in the beginning, which sometimes it can be overwhelming, but I know I've learned a lot and I've gained a lot of growth from it. So it's something that if you're really, really interested in doing the development program, and then just working for Owens Corning, you will learn, you will grow. And it's not going to be something you're going to sit stagnant in, because those opportunities are everywhere within the company.
Yeah, I think other than that too, the good part about development programs, at least with Owens Corning's, is that it really does give you the ability to kind of explore an area and explore a career path for yourself without kind of just oh, I accepted this job. This is kind of what I'm doing now until I figure out I don't want it and then quit and move on to something else, right? This gives you that ability to try a lot of different things, whether or not you, I mean, because even if you join the maintenance development program, you could find out, oh, this isn't what I want to do. And then, they can find ways for you to transition and work in other areas to kind of experience other things and maybe find, oh, this is a better fit for me. And you get to work in a broad scope of projects and roles and responsibilities to where you don't feel like Rebecca said, you don't feel stagnant, and you feel like you have the ability to kind of speak up and say, hey, this is what I enjoy doing. This is what I don't enjoy doing. And the best way to move up in your career is to find something that you like doing, because you're going to do a better job at it. They want to find what's a good fit for you, because they don't want to have people in positions that they don't want to be in. It's not going to be good for productivity. So they'd rather you explore your opportunities and then kind of determine what you want to do, and then from there you can find a good fit for yourself within the company.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. And that was from Cameron, by the way. Sorry, I'm forgetting to say who these questions are from. Next question. This is a really good question from Chani from University of Toledo. How have you dealt with gaining the respect of older industry professionals as newcomers to the industry and as young people?
I would say here, I currently in a plant that usually always has at least one MLP or MMLP. So they're used to us coming in, but a lot of it is just spending time on the floor, learning from them, not just walking in like you understand how everything works and you own the place. So a lot of it's just kind of gaining the respect like you would anyone else. So like I spent my first 2 or so weeks just out on the floor, rotating through each kind of operator position, learning what they do on the day-to-day. So I'm able to kind of level with them. Like if they're like, this has like been an issue for a long time. And then me being out there realizing how much that actually affects their daily work life, and just being an ear for them to speak to, listening in on what they have to say, not brushing it off, making sure that if they tell you about something, you look into it and get back with them, make sure that that what is issues to them and stuff is also important to you. And then when it comes to like the salary engineers and stuff, everyone that I've experienced has been very kind and respectful and willing to help me learn any questions I have. So just a big part of it's for me with them is just asking questions, knowing that I shouldn't know everything and there's no dumb question, even though I may think like, oh, I should know this by now, but just asking questions and being willing to learn and listen, basically.
Yeah, I would just I'd sound off on that. Yeah, I think the biggest part is dependent on the location you go to, but pretty much any location you go to, they've seen people come and go. So that's one of those ones where you got to come in and understand that a lot of these people really, they just flat out, they know more than you about a lot of this stuff. They've seen things work, they've seen things not work. And that's not to say that you don't have unique creative ideas, because you probably do, but it's good to take a step back and kind of when approaching a situation, talk to your subject matter experts. Who are the guys that are handling this machinery, working on this piece of machinery every day in and day out for a long time. It's best to talk to them and learn from them. Don't take everything they say by gospel, right? But there's a lot that you can learn from them, and then you can use that to make good educated decisions on your own. And then like you said, don't come in guns blazing trying to change everything, because like you said, it takes time to really get a good foothold on everything. But then once you do, having that open-mindedness and using it to leverage your guys and leverage your employees to make good decisions about how to approach problems is the best way to handle that. And then that's how you do gain the trust of some of the older guys, right? Some of the people who have been around way longer than you've been alive, who've been here, they're your best resources. So gain their trust and talk to them, get to know them more than just, how was your weekend? Get to know everybody. That's a good opportunity.
Rebecca, did you have anything to add, or should I go to the next question?
Nope, you can go to the next one because I second everything they did.
All right. Next question from Mohammed. Do you look forward to Monday mornings at Owens Corning?
Depends on how the weekend was. If you get a lot of calls on the weekend, then you're like, oh, I don't know if I want to deal with the Monday. But all jokes aside, I do enjoy coming to work on Mondays.
Well, I didn't really enjoy Monday mornings when I was in school either, so I don't really care for Mondays regardless. But no, they're not bad. Today's been busy. It just kind of depends, on how things go. Um, but overall, Monday's kind of just another day throughout the week, right? It doesn't have to be worse than others, especially if you're keeping up on top of your stuff and staying on top of your responsibilities. And then as well as if you're supervising an area, as long as you're keeping in touch and staying on top of on the people who are looking after things during a weekend, Mondays really can be not bad. I would say the best thing I've learned so far is if you're going to contract visitors, or if you're gonna schedule visitors or contractors, don't do it on Mondays, because it never works out very well, because that's when everything piles on Mondays, right? So schedule your visitors and your contractors for Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Don't go for Mondays.
Yeah, I agree with what they said. Yeah, it's just like another day, but it is usually my busiest day of the week. Just everything that happened on the weekend, trying to catch up, and then Fridays are usually a little bit similar, making sure everything's good for the weekend before you leave, so you don't have to get any of those calls during the weekend. But yeah, they're not too bad.
Okay, this question is from John from Clemson. Tell me a little bit about the manufacturing. Oops, sorry, my thing just moved. Tell me a little bit about the manufacturing processes it takes to make roofing or insulation.
I can talk about insulation. And then briefly roofing. I only got some tour about it, so I know the overview. So for insulation, we have our raw materials come in that it's called our batch, and then it goes into a melter, it gets melted down, so molten glass becomes basically like lava, and then it goes through our system and then into our forehearth, which is our fiberizing area. The best way to explain it is a cotton candy machine. It kind of looks like it. The hot glass goes in, molten glass gets spun out really fast, and then you get the long thin fibers, and then they get laid down into a pack, and then it goes into the oven, and then the oven cures it out, basically like baking a cake, and then it comes out and then gets fabricated, gets chopped into whatever length it needs, gets bisected, and then it goes into a roll up if it's FDM or MBI. But if it's a residential product, it gets put into baggers, which our baggers are very automated. Within the last 3 years, they're brand new within the company. And then I would say for roofing, it's similar process. There's raw materials of the composite mat that they have, and then mat goes through and it gets asphalt put onto it, and then there's granules, which is put onto it to make the colors that you see on shingles, and then it gets packaged. So if you're really curious, there's the how it's made video for insulation that is one of our plants. I think it's Newark, Ohio, but you can watch that. It's a very great, it's old. It's not our new updated like systems, but it does give you a good process of how it comes in.
And one thing, if I can say real fast from a roofing plant, but we do have no, you're okay. No, so we do have our no, I'm not. You're good. We do have our three main businesses: insulation, roofing, and composites. And insulation plants will be a lot of the same process at each plant. Same with roofing, but composites makes a lot of different products, and it varies a lot from plant to plant what that process looks like. So I know some people are really drawn to that when deciding like what business they'd like to work for, are drawn to the variability within that, while some people are more drawn to the more mechanical process of roofing, or the, I don't know how to describe the process of insulation, but they all are very different and appeal to different types. Okay, another question from Mohammed directly to Rebecca. How was the experience transitioning from Penn State to a full-time role at Owens Corning?
Yeah, I was typing it up as I was going to talk, but it's good. So I think Penn State specifically did a really great job of preparing me to be a problem solver engineer. I think regardless of the engineering degree that you get from Penn State, it's a really great at determining that, and also how to take initiative and just how to learn. I think they did a great job. I felt prepared as far as problem solving, how to set up my own and take initiative, and because you're not going to just be given, it's a lot different. We're in school, we're given a whole like syllabus or a book of this is what you're supposed to do. you get a book of knowledge of, okay, this is what you should learn, but it doesn't necessarily say, oh, this is how you need to learn it. And that's where you have to take a lot of initiative for yourself. And if you're not great at doing that and being self-disciplined, I would say that's something you could work on before if you do want to work a career in Owens Corning. But overall, Penn State did a good job.
All right, from Raymond Owens, for those that weren't in the manufacturing internship program in the past, what was your experience like? Were you working under a mentor or coach, like in your leadership rotation? For those that were in the internship, sorry, what was your experience like?
Yeah, I did an internship in summer of 2019, and you are given a coach, mentor coach that you work under. So it's very similar. Your projects are a little, you only have like 2 to 3 or 4, depending on if you're a co-op or an intern. But it's very streamlined. Like you're only doing that. You're not doing anything else. While as in your full-time role, there's projects and learning, so there's a lot more to balance because you are a full-time engineer. But I really enjoyed the internship, and that's what made me come back to OC.
So this is a question from Darius. What are your guys' hours like? Are you on call 24/7? Does it depend on the position? I think you scared them with talking about getting calls on the weekend, Rebecca.
I can speak to that. It really depends, right? I mean, as a maintenance supervisor, like you have an area of ownership, right? So depending on the failure type, yeah, you could get called on a weekend if it's a massive, huge failure that's really shutting everything down. Yeah, you're probably gonna get a call about it because it's important. It's in your area, right? However, at least in the from the maintenance side in Waxahachie, we tend to use some of our hourly guys. We have some guys who've stepped up and have been leaders, and we like to kind of do like a rotating on call. So like on weekends, we'll have guys designated to be on call, so that way it gives us a break from getting calls. I wouldn't say there's designated hours that you can be called. Yeah, you can be called day or night, but it just depends. Usually, if we have people here on site 24/7 that are designated for handling, upset conditions and handling breakdowns at the time, we call them our shift maintenance, right? So they're just called by radio to go handle issues. So usually, if it's anything kind of within within their ability, you never even really hear about it until the next day. However, if an elevator belt snaps and falls down the whole elevator shaft and is broken, yeah, you're probably going to get a phone call about that one, because that one's going to take a little bit more coordinating and kind of basically you only really getting calls when they need kind of assistance, coordination, or if it's something major. So it just depends. If things are running really smooth, you probably never hear from anything. Sometimes if it's a bad time and stuff's going haywire, yeah, you'll get some phone calls, but it just depends on the position, depends on your area, how things are running. So I wouldn't say that you're getting calls 24/7, but just depends. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely it does really majorly depend on the role. So when I first started in the operational leadership program, that first 6 months I was just learning and working in the packaging area. I wasn't necessarily like 100% responsible for the packaging area, so they weren't gonna like call me if they had any issues. But when I became the line manufacturing engineer for insulation, I was heavily responsible for any sort of quality issues or process issues. So if the shift on the weekend specifically, like if the shift isn't able to fix the problem that they're having, they are going to call you. But it's not like you're on call 24/7. It's just kind of if they have issues, like they'll call you because you need to help support the process. But and then after that, like as a supervisor, you're only there for that shift. So once you get done with the shift, you're done. Like it's not like they will need you anymore after that. And I'm not entirely sure how it works in roofing with like with their technical rotation, but I know it heavily depends on the position and then what's going on in the plant and how complex that plant is. Waxahachie is one of the most complex plants in the business. Aside with Newark is our sister plant that's very similar, but with that complexity comes bigger issues sometimes. But it all depends. Don't be afraid. It's not like you're gonna get called all the time because that doesn't happen. You do get your weekends and your nights.
Yeah, pretty similar to what they said. I think we have an on-call schedule, which probably varies from plant to plant, where usually it's a week thing. And so there's someone from the technical team and someone from the maintenance team, like maintenance supervisors, reliability engineers. So there's one of each of those on call per week. And then we have certain criteria. So you don't just get called like, oh, we came down. It's only like we've been down for like multiple hours and don't know what to do. So then like if it's a maintenance thing, they call the reliability engineer on call. Or if it was like it's a quality defect, we can't figure it out, they'd call the manufacturing engineer. And then even then, like rarely is it like you have to come into the plant. Like usually you can just give a little consultation on the phone. And then sometimes, depending on who it is, you might have to reach out to more people, but it's not a real common occurrence.
Thank you, guys. I think that takes care of the last of the questions. If there's not any more, thank you everyone for coming today and learning more about OC and the programs that we have to offer. And big thanks to our panelists for hopping on here and answering all these questions. If you have any more questions, I think they linked some emails who you can contact, me or Taj or any of our panelists, I'm sure would be happy to answer questions. And there are some links shared for our programs and where you can apply for them as well. Ty, do you have anything else you'd like to add?
Nothing on my end, Joy. Just thank you, everyone. A big shout out to all our panelists for taking time out of their busy schedule today. Yes, in case you have any questions, please feel free to share it with Brandon. We'll try to respond to your questions at the earliest. And feel free to connect with us over LinkedIn. It's really good forum to connect and network. And in case you have any questions, you can also message us directly on LinkedIn as well. We are happy to help here. Thank you, everyone, and have a good rest of your day.